So for each dance, we have a multitude of different chaperones. We have administrative chaperones, we have teachers, we have parents, and we also have the Edina Police.
The police are there to greet the students after they arrive and have given their tickets to the staff members that are on hand. The police will talk to the students, make sure that they're not bringing anything inappropriate into the dance, and to make sure that they're in the right state of mind. If we were to have an incident that required it, we also have the police there to be able to intervene and to work with the administrators to handle that situation.
If we do find a student that might be under the influence of some illegal substance, or they even get sick, or something were to happen where it would require an emergency sort of type thing, the administrator that's on duty is notified, and we do have the Edina Police that's there, and we work together to intervene with that. If someone does need to be sent home, we call the parents right away. If someone is found to be under the influence of something, there is a school suspension for that, as this is a school event, and the parents are notified to come pick up their child.
School dance, like any other school event, has a set of expectations that students are going to act and appear in an appropriate manner. If students are going to kind of press some boundaries on their dress, we're probably going to have to intervene. We want students to all be comfortable in that situation. If we do have to talk to a student about the way they are dressed, we will either give them the option of putting on some kind of a t-shirt or something else that the student council has. Otherwise, we'll ask them to go home and change, and they're welcome to come back when they've done that.
I guess I would encourage parents to go to really listen to your gut, and if it's a group of kids you know and you know you're comfortable with, and the parents you know and you feel like you have similar values and expectations, it's probably a much easier decision than if it's an unfamiliar group. But I would certainly encourage you to listen to those feelings and the uneasiness if there is some. I would certainly encourage you to make phone calls and talk to the parents that are hosting this party or hosting that party, and offer to help, ask directly, will there be chaperones? I think that there's a certain sense that people don't ask questions, but the reality is that they can and they do and they should. So I wouldn't be afraid to make phone calls and try to get information so that you can parent responsibly.
We were just talking about this the other night with some friends, and I think back to the sophomore year where our daughter might get asked by a guy, and you haven't met those parents yet. And your daughter's talking about it, and she may or may not want to share a lot about the guy. You'd actually ask some of the exact same questions that we're doing right now. And it's just to make sure if something comes up, we know who to call, what the plans are, and frankly, we're just interested and want to get to know your friends. And that's a really natural conversation to have with your son or daughter, and you should feel comfortable doing it. And sometimes, inevitably, if your daughter's getting asked, the moms of the daughters will start freaking out at some point along the line about what's the itinerary, where are they going to go to dinner, how formal is it going to be, short, long dresses, all those other things. So there tends to be conversations among the parents, and you want to start on that earlier rather than later.
Another part of it is having clear expectations and being able to talk real openly and say, do you have any concerns? What's the plan if this does happen, so that your child has a very clear set of guidelines. You know what to expect if something that you aren't planning on or unexpected happens, or someone does show up with alcohol or whatever. I think a lot of it is about trust and communication with your child. And
so after 3 daughters, the youngest of whom is a senior right now, the one sort of trick that we learned is that when you have these after parties and they're going on, you just want to figure out a way to go down and check. They're usually in another part of the house. The secret is hot chocolate chip cookies. So you just go up in the kitchen, you make hot chocolate chip cookies, you bring them down on a plate around midnight, they go down, everyone flocks to them. You come up, you grab another plate, you do the same thing again, and you get a chance basically to see everything that's going on in the house, and you are your kids' best friends because everyone likes a hot chocolate chip cookie.
pizzas.
Pizzas and hot chocolate chip cookies. Took us 4 years to figure that out, but we got it down.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that our experience has been the after parties. The kids are at the dance from 8:30 to 11:30 generally. So by the time they get back to the house and they change clothes, most of the time they're hungry and they're hot because they've been dancing, with the flocks at the high school, and they just want to relax. So, like John said, have some water bottles, have some soda, juice, whatever you want to have around, and then pop a couple pizzas in the oven and take them down 15, 20, 30 minutes after the kids get there and say, oh, we're short. Okay, I'll put another one in, be down, and so that you are present, you're going down. Then you follow it up with the chocolate chip cookies at 1 or...
Last call for cookies.
Last call for cookies. But, just have stuff available and don't be afraid to be visible.
My oldest son's prom, the girls had planned to go to Wisconsin to somebody's cabin. And I wasn't comfortable with the whole idea of the whole point to me of an after party is to keep people off the road. And while they were going to take a bus out, they were going to leave cars out there to drive back the following morning. And I didn't feel comfortable with it to begin with, nor did one of the other boys' dads that I spoke to. And I pretty much said to my son, no way, you've got to be kidding. And actually, the other father said, my wife wouldn't let me do that. Why would I let my 17-year-old son do that? So we also, through the parent network of the boys, found out that, in fact, the girls were going to go out ahead of time and leave alcohol there. And it was only one set of parents. And the whole thing just didn't feel right to me. I've never been in favor of the all-night after party anyway. And so I said no, which was highly unpopular both with my son and... particularly a lot of the parents of the girls I was getting calls from, trying to put some pressure on me. But I found that once I said no, then several of the other boys' parents said no. The party eventually got skittled. I felt bad about that, but I knew what I was doing was right for my family. I didn't care if they canceled it. I didn't want them to cancel it. It was their right to go ahead. And then they planned something else within the city, which my son actually eventually decided not to go to because he knew there was going to be heavy drinking there. He's a collegiate athlete, was heading into swimming. He just didn't want to have anything on his record that might hurt him. So he and a couple of his buddies went out and did something else.